Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another one. In today's video, I want to talk a little bit about the Stellar Blade experience on this plastic consumer trap. The PlayStation 5 professionally stupid edition. So yeah, I ended up caving and I decided to pick up a PS5 Pro on launch. I know what some of you guys are gonna think. He's a certified idiot. That's a nice waste of the money. Bro is completely moronic until the day's end. Yeah, but these are all things you guys already knew about me, right? So yeah, I couldn't stop thinking about Kingdom Hearts 4, and like, look, I know, we're probably 2 years away or something like that from the release of that game, and you think by that point, hopefully, the PS5 Pro will be cheaper. Also, the fact that you still need to buy a disc drive is f***ing ludicrous. When I was putting it into the console, I felt as if I was hooking up a disk drive to install an old operating system, like Windows 98 or something. It made me feel like a fossil. I just couldn't help myself, I guess is what I'm saying. Though it's funny me mentioning that you're gonna get the best Kingdom Hearts 4 experience via a PS5 Pro, because it totally wouldn't surprise me if Kingdom Hearts 4 launched on PC day one, just with Square Enix's whole new stance on going multiplat. We actually saw this year with Visions of Mana. So the first game that I booted up to see the amazing new enhancements of this console is Stellar Blade. Now in total, I think there's something like 90 to 100 games that are Pro enhanced. However, there's only around about 50 that are officially enhanced by Sony themselves, and Stellar Blade is one of them. It was actually not too long ago that Digital Foundry, the gaming performance gurus, mentioned that in terms of image quality, out of the vast array of PS5 games that they've tested on the Pro, Stellar Blade comes across as the one with the sharpest looking image, and oh my fucking god, this game looks good. Just to be clear here, the game already looks fantastic on a base PlayStation 5. I think at this point most people know that the PlayStation 5 Pro, kind of much like the PS4 Pro, is very much an enthusiast piece of tech. To be able to play the game at 4K on top of also maintaining 60 frames per second is pretty insane. Now, it's going to be hard to tell by the actual footage that you guys are seeing, because unfortunately, I don't own a console capture card that is able to capture 4K. So my footage is most certainly not going to do this upgrade any justice. I do highly recommend searching up on YouTube some PlayStation 5 Pro actual natively recorded 4K footage. So the Pro update introduces 2 new graphics settings for the game. The first is Pro Enhanced Balance Mode, optimized for PS5 Pro, utilizing PSSR for superior quality. And the other one is Pro Max, Enhanced Prioritized Resolution Mode for PS5 Pro, providing a higher frame rate. So to explain this, Pro Mode will allow you to run the game at high frame rates, so a locked 60 frames per second, with an upscaled 4K output. Now this is upscaled with PSSR, which is PlayStation's AI upscaling technique. This is sort of the same thing as Nvidia's DLSS or AMD's FSR. It's really cool to have a console that is now doing this, because these upscaling techniques have been huge for PC gaming over the past few years. And yeah, it looks really good. Pro Max will allow you to run the game at native 4K, and just sitting at around about like 50 frames to 60 frames. It's not locked 60, you'll get that more so with Pro Mode, but you are getting the true native 4K experience. So you're basically getting a performance mode running at high fidelity. And this was the whole thing that sort of PlayStation talked about, is now you're not really sacrificing one or the other, you're getting the best of both worlds. So why exactly would you have 2 options that are practically the same? The only difference with one is that it is native 4K, while Stellar Blade introduces HFR mode, high frame rate mode, for TVs that are VRR compatible, so variable refresh rate, or of course monitors as well, allowing you to play at 120 Hz, you'll be able to enable this newly added mode. So it allows you to play the game at a higher frame rate than that of 60, and this is compatible for both the Pro and Pro Max graphics setting. Looking at it though, you are going to get the highest frame rate with this option enabled if you're running the Pro graphics setting and not the Pro Max graphics setting. I should also mention too that HFR doesn't mean that you're going to be running Stellar Blade at 120 frames per second. That's kind of crazy. you will be running it at about 80 frames per second. Still, it's higher than 60, and it's cool to see, especially a game that looks this good. It should be known that VRR is definitely a thing for base PS5s, it's more utilized here with the PS5 Pro, more so guaranteeing not 120 frames, but at least higher frame rates than that of 60, especially for the games that actually get some proper optimization from the devs themselves, like Stellar Blade here. And it would seem as if PlayStation going forward will likely only implement the HFR modes into games for PS5 Pro. When I was playing through The Last of Us Part 2, just testing out the new Pro mode that's included in that, I was like, okay, yeah, like, I see it, but it's not enough to sort of justify my purchase here. I was kind of sitting there thinking like, oh, is that it? And I only say that about The Last of Us because it's already a really good looking game as is on a base PS5. But man, is it noticeable here with Stellar Blade. I am telling you, as soon as I put this in, I started to try out the different graphic settings. I was like, okay. I just dropped more than $1,000 on some slightly clearer pixels. I'm a happy boy! It sounds ridiculous coming out of my mouth. This is quite a nice upgrade for Stellar Blade, because if you're looking at the base PS5, the performance mode runs at 1440p, I believe, and that's then upscaled to 4K. It of course though runs at a locked 60, which is great. Then we have balance mode, which is about 1440 again, but it's got a slightly cleaner image. The fidelity for balance mode is a lot better. You're not getting the locked 60, but you're pretty much just always hanging around the 50 to 60. Love balance mode options for games, it's great. Then of course you've got quality mode, which is that native 4K, but locked at 30. Biggest issue though with Stellar Blade on a base PlayStation 5, and this also goes for other games too, is that when running it in performance mode, which most people do, there is a lot of grain and a lot of noise. You get used to this kind of thing, but the image quality definitely drops. This is just especially noticeable when you first start playing a game where it's got low image quality and that annoying noise and grain on its performance mode. But that noticeable grain and noise has been completely removed here. So this is one of those upgrades where it's like, okay, yeah, it's definitely noticeable. And I will say that I have, simply put, never experienced a game on a console that looks this sharp and this clean. I do plan to make my way through more games that are Pro enhanced, but already, just from Stellar Blade, I think this is a great demonstration of what the PS5 Pro can do to further enhance games. And we're only going to see more of this for the remainder of the PlayStation 5 generation. Because though Stellar Blade already runs really nicely on a base PS5, is this like, oh my god, FOMO, do I absolutely need this? Is this a completely new experience? No, most certainly not. But for games that don't have PC ports, to be able to play them at the absolute maxed out settings, it's nice to now have a console that can push the visuals and the performance just a little bit more. That's my thoughts on Stellar Blade on the PS5 Pro. I'm pretty impressed. I do hope that this is one of the leading examples on how to enhance games going forward for this console. It's a great demonstration. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to the channel to keep up with everything going on here. Check out my other garbage social media platforms. A big thank you to my wonderful patrons. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, and we'll talk real soon.